Welcome to the WP Builds podcast, bringing you the latest news from the WordPress community. Now, welcome your hosts, David Wormsley and Nathan Wrigley. Hello there, good morning, good evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. This is episode 83 of the WP Builds podcast. It's entitled Brizy Page Builder. Dimitrie Baitanciuc tells us all about it. It was published on Thursday, the 5th of July, 2018. My name's Nathan Wrigley from pictureandword.co.uk, a small web development agency based in the north of England, and I'll be joined a little bit later by David Wormsley from davidwormsley.com so that we can have our discussion before the interview and our little ending facts at the end of the interview. The discussion this week is entitled Technophobic Clients and How We Deal with Them. And then after the interview, we've got a little ending fact entitled 7 out of 10 customers find a company via the blog. Please go to wpbuilds.com and listen to the episodes. You can use the buttons underneath the podcast player. There's lots of buttons there. You can share it on Android and on iTunes, and we'd really appreciate it if you gave us a 5-star review on iTunes. That would help us out a great deal. Okay, some other things to mention. If you go to wpbuilds.com/deals, there's a whole load of deals on that webpage. There's 20% off any toolset license, 25% off any main WP license, 20% off Blog Vault or Malcare, and also 80% off Block Party, which is a Gutenberg blocks creation tool. I would also ask that if you want to in any way subscribe to the wpbuilds.com newsletter or the Facebook group or Messenger or anything like that, go to wpbuilds.com/subscribe. That would be great, and we'd love to hear from you. I don't know how many of you know, but every Monday we put out a news bulletin. It's about 10 minutes long, but if you subscribe to the feed for the podcast, you'll also get the news bulletins. But you can find those over at the wpbuilds.com website. If you scroll to the bottom of the homepage, you'll find the links. So there we go. Right. Today we will be talking to Dimitrie Baitanciuc. You may or may not have heard that there's a new page builder in town called Brizy. It's got lots and lots of really cool and interesting new features. They handle an awful lot of things like the way that you interact with components on the page and where the menus are that you click and do things with. They're all in slightly different places, which you might find favourable. So he's going to come on. He works for ThemeFuse, the developers of this particular plugin. And he's going to tell us all about it, why they built it, what it's good for, and how you might get your hands on it. It's really, he's a great guy, really interesting discussion. But before we get to that, we will go to the discussion with David Wormsley and myself. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it as always, and I hope you enjoy this week's podcast.
And today's chat we are calling Technophobic Clients and How We Deal with Them. Nathan, I think you're going to have much more experience with this than me.
Yeah, possibly. The reason for that, of course, is that you've kind of moved away from dealing directly with clients in the sort of latest iteration, whereas I have to deal with clients myself, which is really fun sometimes. Do you ever deal with clients nowadays?
I do. And in fact, I'm going to move, I guess, more to that because I'm going to be hands-on. It's just that I've been protected by getting my work through other people, and they're dealing with the client, and I'm, kind of building the site in the background most of the time, not always, but so I do have some experience. I do have some funny stories, really. Yeah,
I guess we should class or describe what we mean by technophobe. My sort of definition of that is somebody who's just not willing it doesn't really have a past in using technology, possibly somebody that's been told by a boss or decided for themselves that they need a website and that they need to take this in hand and get on with it, but in the real world they don't bother with technology and they don't really like it possibly, and when pushed into doing it they react in a variety of ways. Some people embrace it and learn, and other people hate it and get really angry by it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the case with you. Most people I know who are called technophobic, they declare this openly at the beginning.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm no good with computers, they
Yeah,
say.
yeah, and then kind of mock themselves nicely often, kind of, oh, I can't believe I did that. Oh, I'm such an idiot. As you've just deleted the last 2 hours' work. That kind of
Do you
thing.
think there's a gender difference in this?
No, I don't really know. I mean, my experience is that certainly all the people that I deal with, it's a bit of a mix and a match. I've got a range of female clients who protest their technophobia, and equally men. So from my experience, not really. I think the men are less willing to admit to it, but my experience from my perspective, the people that I classify as technophobes are a broad church, as they say.
Yes. No, I just noticed it was just mostly with the female clients that they're the ones who declare that they're no good with the technology. But of course they are.
Yeah. Well,
They're
that's
just more
it.
open.
Yeah, I mean, the way it kind of manifests itself for me is usually through, it just becomes obvious at the outset. Either, as you say, they declare that they can't do it, or very quickly they present signs of technophobia. They ask you to explain things multiple times, and they're not familiar with common conventions of the internet. Like, well, I mean, for example, you say things like, "Okay, find the main menu." And that just falls on deaf ears. No. What do you mean? Okay, right. The thing at the top, where it says home, that's everything there is. No. Yeah, no, it goes on like that, doesn't it? And they can't find the simplest things that you want them to look at. And then, of course, if it's as difficult as it is to find the menu, then when we get inside the WordPress UI, boy, I mean, there's a lot of fun in store there.
Yeah, absolutely. My colleague, the person who gives me most of the work at the moment, or has done for a long time, she actually, I mean, since about 2000, she's had a web design business, but for a while, and she stopped it now, she branched off into offering local technical support. So she was going around to pensioners' homes, but who wanted to get on the internet, but just never had a computer and stuff. She stopped it in the end because of the support was just too much. Of course, she would, charge for a time to go and meet them, but then she would give her a telephone number, and of course she would get lots of calls.
Yeah,
which was difficult to charge for afterwards. And I guess I think this is the crux of the issue why we're talking about it, isn't it? Because if we don't get support in this right, we are either going to let people down, or we might, it's either going to cost us a lot, or we might lose some business by not looking after people well.
The way it manifests itself mostly for me is that litany of emails often where the client, you'll solve a problem and then they'll come back with another problem and then come back with another problem and then come back with another problem. So you just get this thing going on. What I do with I strongly encourage and sometimes enforce the idea of let's talk about it for 30 minutes at the end of the month as part of the care package. And I just say anything that you literally cannot cope without this happening within the next few days, well then, yeah, that's fine. Send me an email, but be prepared for me to kick that down the road if I think you're being a bit overbearing. And then normally it's right. Okay, you put together, let's say for whatever's comfortable for them, you put together a Word document of all the lists. You put them in a bullet pointed list, whatever. And then in our half-hour monthly meet-up clinic sort of thing, we'll just go through them all. And we'll fix them where it's fixable. And if not, then it becomes a different matter. So, point 3, there's no way we're going to fix that in half an hour or 20 minutes. So let's just kick that one down the road and we'll deal with that either next month or or you'll have to roll that up and it could be an additional bit of work at some point.
That sounds great. So you've got a good control over this, really.
I do, but I can't. It's so easy to say those words, isn't it? But the reality is I can't stop the stuff from happening, and I can't stop the emails coming in saying, can you just do this? And some people just bend to that request and they are absolutely fine with it and they stick to it. And every month you have your little phone call and they've dutifully bullet pointed all the things and you get through them in 15 minutes with time to spare so that you can talk about, developing the business and making the website different over the months to come. And some people they're just not that way inclined. And so you end up writing repeated emails and it gets a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it is fundamentally just one of the multitude of communication issues that we have with clients, isn't it? This is what we're always talking about. That's what it comes down to, isn't it? But I don't know if there's any one way of getting the message over. Has anybody sort of pushed it too far and you've had to say,
Recently, somebody nearly did, in that they just kept coming back with what felt like the same thing. They sort of dressed up the same issue as different things, and I kept sort of implying that no, we can't do this in this amount of time, and it just kept coming back. And eventually, I think it just through fear of repeating themselves ridiculous amounts of time, it just stopped. So that kind of took itself away. The way that I've dealt with this, and I've just had so many ways of dealing with it, and I've never really settled on the right way. So, there's always the telephone where you phone them up and you explain. Then there's the writing them an email, but I've really tried to stay away from that because I had a period where I was doing things like using screenshotting tools to, explain the multiple steps to get past this problem that you're having. Because very often the problems aren't actually problems; they're just lack of understanding. They've forgotten how to do something, or they never knew how to do something, and that functionality was always there. And I don't know, it might be filling in a custom field or something, and for some reason they've collapsed advanced custom fields, and they can't figure out how to uncollapse it. Something trivial like that. And they've never had to do it. They accidentally press something one day, and so take a screenshot, explain what's happened, very quick to do. But then if there's a multi-step problem, very quickly an email becomes the wrong tool to use, because you have to take multiple screenshots, write text, and all of a sudden within 5 minutes you're wasting your time. So increasingly I've started to use a service called GetLoom, or I think it's just called Loom, but the URL I think is getloom.com. And it installs a little extension in your browser, in my case Chrome, and you click the button and it helpfully says, do you want to start capturing your screen? And I think you drag around the bit that you want, or you go for the whole screen, and then I just do a screencast, which usually is about 3 minutes, and I'll get 20 times more content in that, and I just then embed the link in the URL in an email and say, watch this, that should fix your problem.
Yeah, I've taken to that, and the other week I got a job for one of the clients to do, and they like to tinker around. I think they're a real success because they've really grasped what they can do in Beaver Builder in this case. So now even though he's given me a job because he can't do this one thing, I just built into the time it took some time to record what I'd done, so he knew how he could do it in future. And I think it's the way I'm going forward with things.
That's absolutely what I do. As soon as I figure out this is more than a couple of steps, I just click the button and just record it and talk into the mic. I mean, the setup's it's no different from me doing what I'm doing with you right now. I pull the microphone in front of my face, click a button. In our case, we record audio. In this case, I'm just recording what's on the screen. And to be honest, whilst the majority of my clients never even reply to that email, they'll just, but the presumption is, well, they haven't replied. That's a good thing. A few occasionally have written back saying, boy, thanks. That was going above and beyond, because actually it was a load easier for me. But from their point of view, it feels like I'd done something a bit cool. I'd made a video for them and they could hear my voice, and I was specifically getting to their problem. So that's like a total win for me, because I did less and they think I'm a bit, trying harder, whereas actually I'm just fixing it quicker.
Yeah, no, exactly the same. Because once I started doing videos as well, it's made such a difference to how people perceive me. And also, you're so spot on. You just reminded me really with the emails or just any kind of text support, because the one before that was a message was emails aren't working. Now I don't normally do email support, but with one client I am their relative, and that's all I got. And it took so many conversations to realize that they were talking about their program on their computer, and that the computer was virus ridden as well.
Oh Lord. So it's actually nothing to do with you.
Absolutely nothing to do with me. And somebody else solved it for them in the end, because I said, I'm sorry, I just can't do anything about your computer.
Have you ever become like the tech guy then? The person that, with a client where it stepped out of being the, I'm going to support your website, to I'm basically going to support your entire tech infrastructure, including your printers and router.
Do you know, I don't know of this, but I think it happens. You know, I remember somebody saying on a Facebook comment somewhere about that the client, and they liked it, and that when they go and see their client for a meeting, they get introduced as here's my computer guy. You know,
Yeah,
not their web designer.
Run away. I've had a client where this is going back years, and this was in the period where I was just really learning. Well, I didn't really have a mechanism for saying no to anything. I just said yes to everything. I got this email asking me to fix. It was email related, and it was about things at their kind of firewall in their router, blocking things, and I ridiculously, I actually did it. I went in and researched how their router was all set up and what their email provider did, logged into their router, fixed the problem, and charged them a sort of an hourly fee. But those days are gone. I'm not doing that nonsense
anymore. We did talk a bit before about what our options are for fixing this, didn't we? And we came up with sort of four approaches, if you like, for how to deal with the clients. And the first one was, well, make everything as simple as possible.
Yep.
So that's like your videos and we've talked about this before when we moved on to white labeling, about some people, how they try and make the back end a lot simpler in WordPress for clients.
Yeah, I'm really caught on that. The only reason I would white label WordPress is because of simplicity. I've reached the decision that actually I want everybody to know about WordPress. So I'm not white labeling it to hide things. To be honest, I'm probably not even going to remove menus anymore. I'm just going to work on the basis that most of my technophobe clients express very clearly that they're terrified of clicking things, not the other way around. Not like, oh, I'm going to go and explore this menu. They live in fear of clicking things and breaking things.
Yes.
So
that makes sense.
It doesn't. I don't think the two are necessary. Hide things because you've got a technically illiterate client. My experience usually is they'll stay clear of anything that they don't fully know, and that's sometimes where maybe I'm falling down, because then you get questions about things that they potentially have done, but it's so rare that I'm not going to bother.
Yeah, and one of my early one-day webs that was just me, one-day builds. The client wasn't really involved in that day, but afterwards. And I did, as always, I give them the full access, but I did advise them to go down an editor access where the page builder was restricted. And, so I think I do clear those things up, and they stuck to that.
Yeah,
and it meant that I could add that content. Yeah.
I mean, you can have that discussion, can't you? You say, look, this is what you'll get if you want admin rights or whatever, whatever rights you want. Or we can set it up for you in such a way that you'd find it really hard to break things, because we'll remove all the menus. But you've got to understand that it might be more difficult for me to troubleshoot something, because you might not be able to access some of the things that you need. Yeah.
And the next one we could ask them to get support elsewhere, which I've
never done that. That's such a breath of fresh air. I should do this more often.
Well, I've started thinking about, only because I know I'm going to have to deal more with clients directly, and I'm very conscious about not making myself available all the time with my packages. So what I'm trying to do is, particularly because I'm focusing on one-day web builds, or a series of one-day builds, I'm trying to say beforehand, if they want to get involved with me, let's have the conversation about their technical level and whether they want to put someone else on the job with me who knows more, or whether they want to have some support. Because if they're buying my time, which they are going to be with these projects, then if I'm explaining things which could be explained by somebody else, it's going to cost them more money. It's going to take up more days to build their site.
So do you have like I know you haven't necessarily done this so much yet, but do you have a bank of kind of online WordPress tutorial sites or knowledge-based sites or whatever that you will hand over and say, look, you could probably find your answer to most of these over there, and it'll be free for you to do that research?
I haven't, but do you know what? It's exactly what I thought when we were discussing this. When we said we're going to discuss this, I thought I must get a list of resources.
Yeah.
So I'm going to. That's what I'm going to do next. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Google is your best friend, really, isn't it? The problem is that most of the time, a Google search for anything that's gone wrong with WordPress requires probably one specific word that the client might not have. So it might be the name of a plugin which you believe to be the cause of the problem, or just using the word plugin, or using the word WordPress. So you and I can find those solutions really easily because over many years we've built up a technique with Google, whereas a client who's, I don't know, selling cars or insurance, their Google-ness, their Google skills will probably be related to their chosen industry and not necessarily fixing WordPress issues. So yeah, I reckon having a knowledge base, a list of useful websites is a good idea.
I think so. Also, I like the idea now because thinking that it becomes a problem, I just wanted to get as an early contact just to get that issue sorted with people who say they're technophobic and just say, look, this is what we're skilled in, and this is why we charge this kind of amount for our time. So we don't want to, use up your time, just to get that out on the table initially. But so all ongoing support might have that flavor. They might recognize that they don't want to waste your time. That's my hope with it.
Are you, just before we go on to point 3, do you curate your content, your video content, or any content that you create when you've helped out clients? Do you keep it anywhere?
No, it's a mess.
No.
I mean, it's all that I changed from Loom to Cloud app for most of it.
Okay.
So
yep.
I can find it, and I ought to really. At some point, I'll do it.
Does Cloud app allow you to sort of tag things then? Can you say this is such and such? Because I've got Cloud app, and all I ever do is make the videos and then paste the URL in the same way that I do with Loom. But I'm guessing that Cloud app might allow you to tag things or something. I don't really know.
It's got a very cool search thing, particularly with screenshots. You can actually read through the images, so you can actually search for things. But no, I haven't organised this at all.
No, essentially when I make a video, I paste the URL into the email and then forget about it. Never ever go back to it. So I don't even know if it's been viewed or anything. But I should curate those. The problem is that each video, especially if you're using different suite of plugins on each website, or or have got them configured differently, the video for this person over here is going to be different to the video for this person over here. So the UI is different. So that I don't know. I don't know. There's obviously services like video user manuals which try to solve this problem, but they're very generic and they offer help with things like gravity forms and WordPress posts and pages and Beaver Builder. I don't know if it goes beyond that really, but a lot of the problems the clients will be dealing with won't be those. It'll be your advanced custom fields are not behaving in the way that you want, and there isn't a video user manuals video for that, so you'd have to make one. But the other client wouldn't have the same UI, so it might be prefixed with a pound sign over here, whereas you've got a dollar sign, and all of a sudden they're like, "What? That's not the same."
Honestly, I think that's the way. You were talking about just making videos as you go along for the individual clients, and I just think that's the best service. I think you could waste so much time trying to make the perfect database or series of videos, and I still think, I've got video user manuals. I'm pretty sure that no one's watching them because they just want something personalized.
Yeah.
So I think that's the best we can do, is to try and suggest that they have their own resources for support rather than waste your time. But if they do come to you, you'll give them a personalized service. I think
within the confines of what you've agreed. I think that's always important to come back to. Sorry, I interrupted a lot there. What's 3?
No. Three was offer help as a package, which is I'm trying to do this, in a way, because no one's used it yet because I've only just kind of set up the landing page for it. But training sessions is something that I want people to take up so they can learn more about their page builder, so they can manage their content better. That's what it's designed for. But I'm just thinking, well, that's a viable period of time that they can have, but they can use it for whatever they like. If they want to know how to set up their email client, well, that's fine.
One of the things that I try to do whenever I'm trying to sell a care package is I try to sort of subtly imply that basically if you don't come in on this, you are going to have to find the solutions to any problems elsewhere, because that's the reality of it. But occasionally, a client will come back and say, okay, can we make this little fix? And I will kind of say, okay, it's an hourly rate. But at that point, you get all these problems of, well, how long is it going to take? And, well, I don't know. It might take 15 minutes. It might take an hour and a half. I really don't know. And there's that real sort of Mexican standoff moment where somebody's got to go first. And, okay, do they authorize you to just go for it and see how long it takes? Which might be 10 minutes. It might be 3 hours. Or do you agree a fee in advance and on it? That can be annoying.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, already I started to think along those ways, because largely when somebody asks me to do a job and I'm not sure, at the moment I tend to be over quoting a little bit the time, and then it's under, and then I would rather charge them less so they then trust me down the line to when I don't know. That's
a great idea. Sometimes you just get that person though, that client who won't make that bridge. Won't shake your hand halfway, they just want, no, I need the price, otherwise we're not doing it. And at that point, your little knowledge base of articles would be very useful, Well, okay, we can't agree. Look, it'd be great if I could fix it for you, but, you can probably fix it for yourself. Here's some helpful websites that you can go and visit. And actually, do you know what? I expect that after 10 minutes of searching those websites and not really finding an answer, they'll maybe come back to you and be a bit more, oh, okay, we'll see. Let's go for it.
Yeah, it's getting people on board, isn't it, with what the problem you have, and that's trust, isn't it, most of it.
What's 4?
4 was, I forgot what was it. Oh yes, well, it's the last one really, which is let them sort it out themselves, which I guess we've wandered into.
I'd love that. I'd be totally happy with that, because I know that there's a lot of there's maybe some fairly, the business is relying on support. I really don't. My business is has steadily been just about building the website, and support is a little bit of an add-on thing. I certainly couldn't live off my care packages. I need the sort of churn of websites. It's I would be happy in many ways if the support queries never came in and I was able to say, look, go and sort it yourself. You can do it. And here's the articles to explain.
Yeah, well, largely what I was thinking of, to be honest, with that one is the fact that a habit which I've learned not to do so much, and I guess I learned this in my job as a manager as well, is not to jump in too soon to help people out. So if you've become the web guy or the web girl, that clients know they go to for everything, they're probably quick to send you an email, and you might be quick to give good service, to answer them. But actually, sometimes if you leave a bit of time, they just figure it out for themselves.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Yeah. We say all this stuff like it's a tried and trusted technique, but the truth is we're both of us probably making stuff up on the fly and reacting differently to one technophobic client than we are to the other one. And your own personal likes of people and the amount of work that you've done with them in the past and how long they've been with you all comes into play. And very often I'll find myself doing things strictly out of limits and just getting on with it and sort of thinking, it's all right. It's not a big deal. We've been working for years together. I think this is fine. I'll just get on with it.
It is tempting me, though, the fact that I have seen clients fix it themselves. I mean, the one who said about my emails are broken, that's generally the kind of queries that I get, right. That level. I have, because I've been traveling, I haven't got back to her as quickly as I would do. So with allowing one day for your support, they say, oh, no problem, fixed already. And I'm just thinking maybe it's a way to build things into it, just to say it will take 24 hours to get it and see if that cuts down.
What about in that initial response, like in an email footer almost, you have this article knowledge base that you're going to put together? That would be a good idea. We endeavour to get back to you within 24 hours, 72 hours, whatever. In the meantime, you might fix it if you go into these links.
Yeah, I think that is an approach I think all of these combined, and of course we're never going to get it right, are we? But it's just nice talking about it, nice thinking about it.
Well, speaking of thinking about it, I'm now thinking about the interview because we've gone for 27 minutes, David, which is we're horrendous with the clock. On my screen it shows the clock. We should start a timer on your end so that you're able to see it as well, and then we'd both be like, try to speak quicker and more coherently and actually say things in a shorter amount of time. Right, let's go to the interview. Hello there, thank you for tuning in to the interview part of the podcast. I'm glad you made it this far. Okay, today, all the way from Bucharest in Romania, I hope I've got that right, I'm going to try this, is Dimitrie Baitanciuc.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, good. How are you?
Great, thanks for having me.
You are very welcome. Now, Dimmy, which is what I'm going to say from now on, Dimmy is on the podcast today, excuse me, because of a storm of interest that's occurred in the WordPress community over the last, let me say, month. I'm going to say about a month, maybe 2 months by the time you're listening to this podcast, because Dimmy is part of the company which produces, or is going to produces the Brizy Page Builder. And you may have seen recently, all sorts of people have been talking about it on the forums and in the WordPress community. And so the first question I've got to ask you, Dimmy, is why on earth have you decided to build a page builder when we already have lots of them?
Well, you know what, we started like 2 years ago, 18 months ago, and we sat at the table and look at the options in the market, and we really thought, and now it demonstrates that we've been right. We really thought that things can be a bit visual, a bit better. You know, you can edit pages and do things more easily, accessible to anyone.
Yep.
So that's why we've decided to start Brizy, and we've put the first thing on the table and said we need to question every assumption, everything. And we've discussed, I think, hundreds, if not thousands of hours, every little toolbar, detail, change it, design it 10 times over, and so on and so forth. So if you're testing Brizy now, this is the plugin, and you'll see what we came up with.
Yeah, I have to say, when you think about page builders, there are already we're like a few years in since page builders came around, and they kind of like have common features. They might click this area and suddenly things become editable over there. Click this area and you can fiddle with the settings over here. You really have taken a very different approach, and one that I think is. It is different.
It's isn't it better to just, if you want to modify something in a page, to just click it and modify it? Why would you have to click something here and have this disconnect between what you are editing and the options for that element or for that widget or whatever? So we wanted this disconnect to disappear. And if you want to edit something in Brizy, with Brizy on the page, you just click it, a toolbar with options will appear, and that will let you do something with that element. I don't know, maybe you'll edit text, so you'll have inline editing. So maybe you'll change an image or something like this. So the idea was that to bring everything right in front of you.
I'm going to suggest that if you're listening to this podcast and you are sat anywhere near a computer, that you pause right now and go to Brizy.io. So that's BRIZY or ZY if you're in America, .io, and go and look, because then you can come back to this podcast in 10 minutes time, or possibly go on Google and search for Brizy videos or something like that. Go and look, and you'll get a better grasp in 2 minutes watching than you will do in 5 minutes of us talking. But To sum up,
sorry to interrupt
No,
you,
no.
but I've discussed this with my friends and a lot of people, and when you actually need to explain something how it works, and it takes longer and it's harder to explain than actually do it.
Yeah.
It's clear that we are on to something here with Brizy.
It's a good point. Nevertheless, I'm going to explain it for those people who are listening in a car or something like that. What happens is you find an element that you want to edit, and then you click on it, and a little toolbar appears where that element is. So it's not like floating left or floating right initially. And most of the common features that you're going to want to edit appear in that little toolbar. And you click on icons, and then further options appear above the toolbar. So it's all happening where the mouse is and where the element is. And then sometimes, depending on the complexity of the feature that you're trying to edit at that moment, a menu will sweep in from the side, giving you a whole array of things. But if you just want to, for example, edit the text and round the corners of a button or something like that, that's all done where the mouse is. Now, it sounds like a trivial thing, but really, that kind of feels to me at the heart of everything that you've done. Was that really, when you were designing it and building it, was that the whole the essential core of it?
Of course. This was one of our main ideas to layer the options. There's basically we've layered the options, so you'll have the majority of the basic options that you'll do with the elements right there on the toolbars. Mm-hmm. That appear when you click the elements, and advanced options, like, I don't know, maybe you want to add a CSS class, or maybe want to change some margins or some paddings. We've put them in an advanced panel that comes from the right side.
Yeah.
But you'll access that only if you need it, and we've put there only the complex things. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and this toolbar on the right hand side, it simply isn't there until you actually need it, and then it sort of beautifully sort of scrolls in. It occupies probably about 5 centimeters of the page on the right hand side, and then when you're finished with it, it goes away. So it's not sitting there permanently doing nothing. That's what I'm getting from this, is that you really are looking at the web page that you're editing. There's no UI clutter around it.
Let me just, if I may tell you a small story. One day we were working in the office, and I was creating one of the pages for one of our teams, and I was talking with Bogdan, my colleague, and I said something happened with Brizy. I click things, and the toolbar doesn't appear, and Bogdan told me, "Man, you are looking at the preview of the website, not at the editor." So, when this fine line is actually, you can't tell the difference. And at that point, I realized, oh my God,
yeah,
this is actually awesome.
Yes, so you are literally in the page.
I've basically, what I've did there, I've messed up and thought that the preview is the actual editor.
Yeah. Because whilst a lot of the page builders that we've got at the moment, you edit some sort of page builder mode, and a lot of things appear, and that, we're not disparaging those, but that's the way it has been so far.
No, of course not. And not only that, but we have great respect for all of them.
Yes.
If you think about it, they have, some of them are paved these roads, basically. So you know.
I mean, it's just a different approach, isn't it? And so, some people will prefer to, have the menus there all the time. But if you go, like I say, go and look at these videos and what have you, and you'll get an idea of whether this is for you or not. So, okay, so we rewind the clock, 18 months, 2 years or something like that. Quite a few people in our Facebook group have been commenting about it ever since a month or so ago. It suddenly came onto the market and what have you. And quite a few of the questions are related to like how it's been built and what technologies you've used. So on a not particularly technological level, can you explain what was involved in the building process of this and what technologies?
Sure. I'm glad that you've mentioned not particularly technological, because I'm a design guy and user experience guy. So I'm not that technical. I understand the project, but the tech part, I fake it most of the time. So it's
very, very honest of you.
Yeah, the project is built 100% on React. And if who's listening, if you're not familiar with React, it's a library of developed by Facebook. A lot of stuff you see in Facebook, it's you're using basically React when you go to Facebook. So this enables us to show this very nice UI and make it very fast.
Yeah. And so, okay, the way it is at the moment, we'll talk about the features that you get within the page, but the way it is at the moment is we're in this sort of holding pattern at the minute where there's going to be a free release which is available at the moment, and you can download it, and you've gone, it feels a little bit like you've gone with a full-featured free version. You know, there's an awful lot packed in there. There's absolutely stacks of it.
Wait a bit, because what you see there is not all.
Yep.
We, every time now when we're discussing everything in the office, we put that question first: is this the Brizy way? Because everything we've done until now and we plan to do from now on is to try to challenge everything. And regarding this kind of business model, and regarding the free and the pro, we want here as well to have a different approach. We'll include everything in free. So if we've already included like global sections, for example, or saved sections, you can save them and use them in other pages. We'll include headers and footers in free. We'll include templating in free. So we'll include a lot of things in free. We'll let you taste everything, and only if you want something more complex, maybe you want something for funnels, for marketing perspective, some landing pages designed by us and things like that, only then you'll want to. We don't want to force the pro on you. That's the main point.
Yeah. So at the minute, there's this free version, and there's a period of time in which you are offering the pro upgrade. Do you want to dwell on that? Do you want to explain a little bit more about what the purpose of pro is and why anybody would want to purchase it?
Of course. There was the discussion here in the office, and we thought we should put a pre-sale out there, And some a member from our Facebook community suggested that we should kickstart the Brizy Pro with a lifetime deal, and we thought about it and came to the conclusion that this is a great idea, and we decided to offer this deal, a lifetime deal. Basically, you'll be able to use the Brizy Pro on unlimited websites for clients, get support for life, updates for life, and also white labeling for those interested. And this deal will basically go away when we launch when we actually launch the Pro. Will then change to a yearly licensing system.
So that's available at the moment, and it's I think it's quite an interesting take you've got on it. If you were to go to the website now, I don't fully know what the price will be, because when we release this podcast is indeterminate. But the price is sort of slowly but surely creeping up, and at some point when Pro is ready, are you then going to flip that Pro unlimited everything lifetime deal over to a more traditional sort of annual pricing structure?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, this lifetime deal is basically a deal for early adopters. Basically, if you like Brizy, and we think this is the future of creating content on the web. It doesn't matter if it's Brizy or if it's you put the name there, but I don't see how you will be able to create content over the web, be it WordPress or something else, websites for clients, from the backend how it used to be.
Yeah.
So if you feel this is the future and you want to invest in Brizy, you get this as an early adopter and have a lifetime access to it. But when it's gone, and we'll introduce the early licensing system, yearly licensing system, because a lifetime deal, it's not business wise feasible if you think about it.
Yeah,
so
you're trying to get a nice kick of cash, a nice injection of cash to sort of like we've seen lots of times before, just to make sure that the project has got people that are interested in it. And obviously it's quite, it's a nice pat on the back, and it makes you feel we're going in the right direction if people are prepared to separate with their cash in order to have something which isn't yet even available.
Of course,
yeah, it's great. Now with the pro version, one of the questions that came up in our community was questions around whether the pro version is going to be sort of fit underneath the GPL license or not. Do you know what your thinking is about the license of that?
Yeah, we are still discussing this at the moment. I know the conversation there, a long one actually.
Yeah.
And let me put my my velvet gloves, because this is a very sensitive discussion for a lot of developers. And we are in this business since 2009, and we've developed ThemeFuse, WordPress premium WordPress theme shop that still sells themes now. In 2014, we launched a WordPress framework that has over 100,000 active installs right now. So a lot of developers are developing themes, premium themes right now on this framework we've created, and all those are open source GPL. So we understand this. We are discussing it, and we are really considering it. So I can put the point on it right now, but know that we are discussing it. Well, it's not set in stone yet.
No, I think it's just one of those hot topics that people like to have clarity on, isn't it? But if you haven't made the decision, you haven't made the decision, and it was worth asking the question. So there we go.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So we'll find out at some point before I'm guessing the pro license becomes an annual thing. Yeah. Okay. So watch this space. You can find out from Dimi and no doubt from Brizy.io what the situation is regarding that. Now, I just want to turn our attention for a moment to actual features, which I rather like. If you don't mind, we're just going to literally talk specifically about things that you get and you get to look at. And just some of the things that when I've been playing with it, I've really liked, and we'll talk around those for a minute. One of the things that seems to be wowing people is this sort of global color palette. I've not seen that before. Do you want to tell the users what that is? Because I'm not really doing it justice, but it's very cool.
Yeah, the main idea is how we started this. We had some questions on the table, right? You've created a website. How do you do it? You just create all the pages and so on and so forth. Put colors, fonts, on all the elements, on all the titles, and so on and so forth. So what if it's later in the project, the client or the taste changes over time. You want to try something else, and Brizy enables that designer, that artist in you to try colors, to try fonts, and so on, because it's so easy to do it.
Yeah.
No matter the reason, the idea behind the global colors and typography is that when you are setting some global palette of colors and a global typography, and if you use those symbols, you link basically the text with those symbols. When you change something, it changes in all the instances. Yep. So imagine you have a button on 5 pages. If you want to change the color for that button, traditionally, you need to go and load all the 5 pages and change that color.
But will.
With this, and you of course you will, and you are doing it right now with basically all the themes out there.
Yep.
But if you are linking those colors in Brizy with the global palette of colors, you'll change only one color in one setting, and it will be updated on all the pages.
It is very, very hard to underestimate how much time this is going to save, people, because I get it. When you said 5 buttons like that, it's not normally 5. It's normally about 50. And it takes ages.
It's not only buttons. You have fonts, you have text, and I think this will save a lot of time, especially professionals, web designers that work with clients. And we all know we love them. But we all know that clients usually want to test things. Let's try this color. Let's change this font, and so on and so forth. And this feature, I think, will. We've created Brizy to answer our needs first.
Yes.
I think great products come from this. If you answer to your needs first,
your own pain. So. Yeah, I mean, I noticed it wasn't just like you said. It's not just buttons or text. It could be color of icons. It could be the color of an overlay of an image, so that the opacity, like you've got a purple overlay over an image. You can make all the buttons, all the text, all the overlays. You just click a button in the menu and everything on the entire site is done. And that's really powerful. That for me was the moment when I thought, I like this. This looks really
and
nice.
You should see what we are discussing for the Pro with different styles for it will be, we're discussing now some features that we'll want to implement in the Pro regarding this styling.
Okay. Yeah, I won't delve too much more deeply. But here's another little feature which I thought was cool. So when you begin creating a page in Brizy, you kind of start with these blocks. I'm going to call them blocks. I don't know what the correct term is.
We call them blocks.
Oh, great. Okay, I thought as much. But there's like 150 of them right now, and they cover the traditional horizontal sections that you would find on a website. And so you say, okay, I'll either begin with a blank page, or I'll just start with this one block, and then I'll add some other blocks as time goes on. Quite a neat idea, though, is that you can turn blocks into sliders. Tell us how that works, and why would we do that?
First of all, the blocks are there to, you can create content in Brizy in 2 different ways. You can start it from scratch, and you have all the elements in the left sidebar, and you can create everything you like. Actually, all the blocks there were created with the exact same tools that are in Brizy. So and the blocks are there to, if you feel a bit intimidated about creating things, or you are not a designer, you can just use the pre-made blocks we have, and then maybe change some colors, change some fonts, and the colors and the fonts are linked with all the blocks, so they are globally linked. So if you change anything, they'll update in all the blocks. So that was the idea with the blocks. But now we've discussed this internally and said, if you want to have, and a lot of websites, the first section is maybe a slider, and you have there an image, some text, and something like that. What if you want to do that? Well, you'll need a plugin. Maybe you'll use a plugin and insert it right there. But what if you can just click a button, and that section, that block, just automatically will transform in a slider? And not only that, you could, on every slide, build everything you like. In terms of structure, drag columns, put buttons, tabs, anything you like. So you have a slide with, with a testimonial. You'll have a slide with a contact form if you like.
I mean, go on. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I think this gives a freedom and lets you create a slider very fast. Of course, there are solutions, and we have partnerships with Smart Slider, for example. They are great guys, and they know their craft.
Yeah, we've had them on.
They do an amazing job with that plugin. But if you want a slider, a simple slider, very fast, and you can create it in Brizy in a snap. So
yeah, it's just an interesting take, and for me, it just speaks to the fact that you're thinking about this, and you've just come up with a nifty solution that maybe 20% of the people will make use of it, maybe 50%, who knows? But it's just nice to know that it's there. You've got this.
I know we make use of it. So
yeah, exactly.
Teams, so,
yeah, and it's so trivially easy. You click a button, and basically you've got yourself a slider, and then you add another section, and you've got three panels to your slide. It's great. It's really good. I like it.
What we want to do is not introduce more every time we discuss new features. Every time we are trying to keep the entry level and the features that we introduce, the concepts that you need to learn, to a minimum. So if you look at this slider option, you'll use the exact same tools you've been using to create blocks.
Yep. Yep.
Basically, they are what they are. They are blocks that they are horizontally aligned. So if you have tabs, this is yet another nice feature that if you add a tab widget, usually in a WordPress theme, you are maybe blocked. You can write only text there, or maybe put image or something like that.
Yep.
In Brizy, tabs, you add it like a structure. Think of it like a structure component. So inside the tab, you can build anything you like. Put columns, put icons, buttons, texts, anything you like. So we want to let you do everything, let you, not restrict you in any way.
Yeah, I think for me, the whole sort of thing comes down to time saving. There's an awful lot of time saving features in here. So we mentioned like that, you've got the sliders option. You can just click a button, and rather than going and installing a plugin, you've got yourself a simple slider. But there's more, there's a whole load of stuff like this. For example, the way that you handle padding of elements is, I think, really neat. You essentially scroll the mouse over an area where there's padding. It turns blue to indicate there's padding, and you just drag the mouse, and there's more padding or less padding. That's really neat, and again, will save people a lot of time. Creating blank columns and then setting them with heights and things like that.
Yeah, indeed, yes.
You've got 4,000 icons in there already. Are they sort of like custom made? Did you have those made, or are they ones that you've made previously for other projects?
These icons are icons from from some great guys. They are called Nucleo. Yeah, we've basically purchased a commercial license from them.
Great.
And we are allowed to put them in Brizy, so anyone can use them. With the icons, we have a lot of ideas there, and we plan to add more icons, premium, different colors, different. It will be great in the future. Us as designers, myself, and I know Bogdan as well, my colleague. When you're using a software and you have like 4, 5, 10, 20 icons, and the rest 200 are in the pro version or whatever, you need to pay for them. It kind of feels cheap. It kind of feels that you want to create, and they unnecessarily restrict you for. And we wanted here in Brizy to have all the icons you'll ever want or need. So
yeah, I can't.
We put 4,000 of them.
I cannot see myself, unless some new device comes along with a new shape that we've never seen before. All the icons are there. You've got it covered. It's really good. There's a couple of other little features which I just think are worth mentioning. Actually, there's quite a lot. One of the things that I really like is this. I don't know what to call it, but when you put an image in as a background section, there's this little nifty feature that you've got in there where you can drag this dot around, and it moves the position of the background image, and I think that's really neat. That's going to save an awful lot of time. It sounds like nothing, but it's really cool.
Yeah, it's cool because we call it, first of all, focus and zoom. Okay. There are two different options.
Yep.
So when you put an image on the page, it doesn't matter if it's an image element or it's a background in a section or in a column. You have two options. You have a zoom feature that when you drag a slider, the image will actually zoom inside the content element, or you can focus the image. What that means is that you have a point on the image, and when you drag it, the image moves, and you can basically refocus where you want the image to actually be shown on the. And this is nice because you don't have to, you don't have to go to Photoshop, crop it, do it stuff, because maybe one, you don't know how to do it, and two, maybe you don't want to do it, and it's a lot faster to do it like this.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's you've got an image, you've received an image from a client, and I don't know, maybe it's a picture of a person on a computer, but the person on the computer is over to the left, and the bit that automatically gets put in the page is the center where you can just see his hands, and you just click on
you gotta hate that the team members that one is with the head cut off.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. And you just click a button, drag a tiny little blue circle, and the whole image, and again, the emphasis is on this is all happening on the page. You see it all. It's real time. It's really cool. You just drag it into the right place, and there it is. Yeah, I like that.
Another cool feature. Sorry to interrupt you, but this is a nice feature that will be in the Pro in the future. We plan to integrate APIs like Unsplash, for example. So for designers or developers, if you're working something for a client, you don't have to go to Unsplash, search for images, go to Photoshop, crop it, modify it. You'll search it directly in Brizy.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I use tools like Stencil and things like that, and they have that, and it's great.
Yeah, there are tools that we are not inventing everything right now.
No, but it's brilliant. I mean, it does say, because if I'm doing something in that tool, I don't have to hop out. It's just there. Yeah. And, something like Unsplash, they have pretty much everything you want. But it's like you say, you're not inventing it, but it doesn't matter. It's invented in your page builder, and it'll save me loads of time. So that's great. Yep. Another nice feature I like is the way that you handle, again, talking about images, you can just like circle the images or crop, turn them into squares, turn them into circles, fiddle with the border radius right in the icon that floats above the image. That's kind of nice. And the way that you handle anchor text is quite cool. You can, let's say you create a button or something, you can. It's so hard to explain, but so easy to do. You get this little visual representation.
I can try it.
Go on.
So when those landing pages, for example, you want to make a funnel or a landing page for a product or a landing page for whatever. So in landing pages, if you have one page, usually links are, if you click a link, you'll go down the page to another section or so, right?
Yep.
So in order to create that link, what you are creating basically an anchor to a section below it or above it or whatever. So what we did, it's when you want to go to a section in the page, you don't have to, input a link there or write text or something like that. You just select, you get some thumbnails for all the blocks in the page, exactly like how you reorder it in the sidebar.
Yep.
If you know that feature. So you'll get the thumbnails for the sections, and you only select the section where you want that link to go to, and that's it basically.
Yeah,
it's all visual. We are trying to filter everything we do through this ease of use, usability, easy
breezy.
Yeah, I'll stole that line from you. So
I mean, essentially, at the minute, I go in, I create classes for sections, and then I link the class to the button. Whereas what you get is you go to the place that you want to anchor, say it's a button or some text, and then you click an image of the section, a whole row of images, a whole column of images, which is your page, appears in the UI, and then you just find the section that you want and click it, and it takes 3 seconds. So you've got 5 minutes of work out.
What we still don't have here, and it's in the works, it will be done. It's a live representation of the thumbnail for the block.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we don't have it right now because this is yet another thing that we need to I don't know, to break the wall, to put it like this.
Yes, I can imagine there is an element, if you've radically changed the way something looks, then the thumbnail might not represent in your mind where it is.
And
I see.
This is not the breezy way, to put it like this, but who understands how things works in this development. It's a complex problem to tackle, this live thumbnail, because we are talking about speeds, we are talking about redrawing some. We are handling it, and we'll come with a solution. But until then, it works like this, and it's great.
I tell you what, it works really well at the minute. There's no complaints, but I agree. Your solution would be just that tiny little bit cooler. Here's another cool thing: no saving required. This just handles. How does it do that?
Well, the React does that.
Right.
So we save everything in the session of your browser. So you'll basically, if you decide to just shut down the computer or unplug it from your wall socket or your kid, I don't know.
Yep. Yes, accidentally trip on it.
Yeah. You just open it and it's all there. You basically can't lose. Only don't clear your cache. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. So it's saving perpetually in the background. It's just another nice little feature, the fact that.
Why click a save button every few minutes?
Because until now we've had to. But it's a nice feature. Hey, duplicate columns. That's another one. What I'm trying to say here is, let's say that you've got a bunch of social icons that you want to line up horizontally. In the past, with page builders, you've had to create more columns next to each other, and then you maybe duplicate the button and then put it into the next column, and so on and so forth. But with yours, you press the button and it just puts it next to it, and then you press it again and you get another one.
Yeah, this is exactly the problem we wanted to solve. If you look at a lot of websites, you see, and we encountered this need. You need two buttons, one side by side. Two. So we've created the buttons and the icons. They have inside the element a grid of their own. So when you duplicate them, it doesn't duplicate them one above the other, but one near the other.
Yep.
So this will let you create things like you mentioned, social icons, social buttons, menus, very easily. So you don't have to fumble and work with all the additional structure elements and modify the paddings and all that.
Speaking, so I mean, they're my sort of like bullet point of about 7 things which I just thought were really cool. Looking at it in the way that I have, at the minute, it's a page builder. Do you have ambitions to make it? Actually, I think you've already touched on this very briefly earlier. But do you have the intention to add? How to call it? Let's call it a theme builder. So the ability to edit headers, footers, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, in fact, yes, we do. The short answer is yes, and the slightly longer answer is we already. If you go on the Pro page on our website, you'll see that some features there are headers and footers.
Yes, now you mention it. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you scroll down the section, you'll see a video on how it will work. You'll basically edit it directly in Brizy, and there's a cool features that I think you'll appreciate is the Brizy way. When you scroll down, you have the sticky option enabled. It will appear as a sticky, and you'll control it. It's harder to explain than to do. You just go and watch the video.
Yeah. Well, let's quickly touch on the things which are coming.
Dynamic content. It's related to the builder you're talking, the team builder, the dynamic content. content of WordPress. In the first launch, it will be. We plan to, the dynamic content. It's a beast on its own. Mm-hmm. We are talking about blog posts, templating, conditional, make things appear on certain pages, and so on and so forth. WooCommerce control, if you want to control the template in WooCommerce and change things. So this is a beast on its own, dynamic content, but we'll bring some things and then we'll add another thing and then we'll add, and in a couple of months, 8, 9, 10 months, it will be complete.
Yeah, I'll just quickly add something into that because our audience will want to know this. The promise on the dynamic content is that it will also integrate deeply with your favorite tools like Pods, ACF, and Toolset, so you can drag in custom field data and drop it in.
We are already in contact with Pod guys and Toolset guys, so when we'll start a deeper integration in the dynamic content, we'll start looking into it, and for sure, we've received from developers and a lot of requests for tools like this, Toolset, Pods, ACF, and so on.
That I can guarantee that you're going to get pestered about those ones if you didn't do them.
Plus, of course, we know they're important and we'll do them. We need to have a priority list,
Of course,
yeah. And regarding this, I'm sure the developers will be interested to know. It's not so visible here, but we are planning to release an API, to let the developers extend Brizy in whatever way they think of, and I can't wait to see what they come up with.
You've stolen one of my questions later on. So third-party integrations will be a thing. That's great.
We'll go to that. So an API will come, but again, 10, 12 months. We are focusing on the pro now.
Yeah, and you need to get some sleep.
Actually, Sergio, our lead developer, I honestly know when he sleeps. When I stay late at night usually and work and go to community and talk with the guys and do some design and so on and so forth. But whenever I'm up, he's up too. So he's never sleeping.
Pat on the back to him. He deserves a very long holiday when it's finally out.
So next, premium design. Premium design will contain pages. We are implementing a lot of designs that we already have in TeamFuse. So part of the pages you can see now on our TeamFuse website will be included in Brizy, in the pro version of Brizy, as a kickoff for the premium design part.
Yeah, that is lovely, really nice.
And we'll move up from there. We were planning a nice chunk and a nice pack of marketing landing pages and funnels and things like that, because we only have so-called website pages.
This is a really interesting one as well, because it's a real area of strength, isn't it? You've been a theme company for a very long time, and this to me feels like an area where you could really excel, because you're going to bring premium designs in as just part of the package. There's a lot of value in that.
Yeah, we have already 50 teams there.
Yeah.
So and I think one of our edge advantages. Or let's put it another one. Is the design part. We have a solid design department, and I think this will bring a lot of value for. Next, headers and footers. Headers and footers. It's pretty clear. You'll have control over headers and footers, and you'll basically, as of it now, Brizy somewhat depends on the headers and footers that come from the team you're using.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you want a header and a footer right now in Brizy, you just change the page template and the header and the footer options will come from the theme.
Okay.
But soon this will change. You'll be able to create headers and footers in Brizy directly. So
you create anything you like. Yeah, that's good. And I don't know how I missed that video. I shall watch it as soon as we finished.
Maybe it's not so maybe it's our fault there. So maybe we need to work on that to make it more
Oh
stand
no,
out.
it's really obviously a video. I just sort of assumed it was an image.
Okay, so third-party integration.
Yeah.
I'm on the website, so I take them one by one. Are
Yeah,
we
we're
okay?
on Brizy, brizy.io/pro.
So third-party integration. Third-party integration refers to mainly to the form element, and that is another discussion because I love the form building in Breezy. You'll just test it and see. But it will come integrated. I think we had 18 on our list.
Wow.
Last time I've checked.
Okay.
I'm not sure all they'll be in the first release, but we'll start with a couple, and then we'll continue to add. I think we've also received another 10 suggestions or so.
Yeah, I mean it's the usual stuff, isn't it? It's things like Campaign Monitor, MailChimp, Salesforce,
exactly,
all of that good stuff. Yeah.
You call it is there mainly the main guys. This is a nice one that I really like, and you'll love how this will work. This is a pop-up builder, and you'll say, what will I do with it? Well, you'll create all the landing pages and funnels and all that with it, because there will be two types of pop-up builders. One will be action, then you'll call it when you click a link. You click a link, a pop-up will come with whatever you want. You'll build it there, or you'll have another type of pop-up. You can create a global pop-up, to put it like this, that you can set conditions to it. Should appear when the user scrolls 50%, should appear when you try to exit the page. The usual features that you see in the different plugins. And different,
but it's a third-party plugin. It's one more thing. This is going to be thrown into your pro account. Very nice.
Yeah. Role manager. The role manager is actually 100% done. We've tested and it's awesome. This role manager is something that will let you, as a web developer or a web professional, create a website for a client, for example. And we all know how clients are. They like to fiddle with stuff and break, and they call you at 2 a.m. in the night. Man, I broke up the site. Help me fix it. So this will let you restrict a lot of things in the builder, so the client will only control the content.
Very cool.
Change images, texts, and so on, but will not be able to drag stuff or fiddle with the structure the designer or the professional created.
Do you have those capabilities locked down, or is it like a tick box list where the editor role gets to do tick 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 tick?
We've discussed this to make it on levels. Yeah. But at the first release, when we release this, it will be just restrict, not restrict. So it will be a 1-0 option. Okay. But we've discussed it and we're open to do it, but we've chose to do it like this. Maybe get some feedback when we release the preview builds. Get some feedback from you, from all the community that and early adopters, and of course we can modify it. We make this pro for you guys, for us and for you. So any suggestion and anything, we take requests. Think of us as some, I don't know, radio DJs or something. So we take requests. Anything you put on the GitHub, we'll do it.
You'll have a look. You'll have a look at it. Yeah, great. Yeah. And we got a couple more.
Yeah. Next, advanced forms. Advanced forms refers to the form element. It will contain advanced stuff like reCAPTCHA, I don't know, checkboxes, radio boxes. It will be it will be a complete form element that will let you create different, more complex forms.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. A form builder inside a page builder. Very cool.
Yeah, because what we have now is a basic form. So if you want to do, and this refers to the thing that I've mentioned earlier about the free and the pro. I don't want to point fingers. This is not the point. But if I give you a tool to create a website, and you can't put a contact form on a page to let clients contact you. Do you think that's fair?
I see what you mean.
Yeah, and I put a price on the contact form because I lock it in a pro. It doesn't seem too fair to me. So we thought it like this. You know what? You'll get Brizy free. You'll start your website, and you'll finish your website. You'll put headers there. You'll put a basic contact form. Okay, it's not an advanced one, but it's a basic one, and we also have a WP integration right there. So you just put it there, and you'll receive emails instantly from clients. Yeah.
Yep.
So this is the idea. You'll use it, the free version, and you'll create a website from start to finish. We don't restrict you anywhere on the way. Okay, if you want to run faster, if you want designs, if you want a pop-up builder, integrations, right, come to us. We'll give you the pro, and you'll move faster. But you'll be able to do it in free as well.
Yeah, very cool. I think that's a
And
really
the last
nifty
thing.
option.
And I've just realized I like to talk a lot. So, yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, and the last thing is A/B testing. This is a nice feature that we want to implement because we think professionals and marketers will really appreciate a tool that will let them test conversion rates and things like that.
Yeah, I mean it's not the last thing because there's actually white label. And it will be white labeled. And for those of you who are using multi-site, it's also going to be multi-site compatible as well. Which is I mean it's a smaller audience perhaps, but still, nevertheless, it's important. Yep. One last thing.
Sure.
How in the future are we? Because I know this is a big thing. Everybody wants to know what the support's going to be like and all of that kind of thing. Do you have an existing support structure? And are you going to be taking sort of emails on this, or are you? What's your turnaround time roughly? Hopefully, going to be for support requests? Because at the beginning, you're going to be inundated with those, I expect.
Yeah, of course. It's hard to gauge until we actually hit that we launch the pro, and it's hard to gauge I don't know if I think you are in the community and you stay connected. I saw comments there, and you see that we are basically connected 24/7.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we tend to respond as fast as possible. And we'll maintain that for the pro support as well. It's in our best interest to offer a premium support that you've purchased with your money. So it's hard for me to put an hours or something like this on it right now.
Yeah, but we'll just see how that works out. But I've noticed. I mean, I'm part of your little Facebook group, and there's an awful lot of commitment going on.
For example, as tools, we've used a lot of tools. We've used on TeamFuse. I can tell you from that experience. We've used Zendesk. Well, Zendesk, it's okay. We like it, but it's more of you receive an email, you wait for the response. I don't know, a couple of hours a day. You give it back, and so on and so forth. So maybe we'll approach it. As a live thing, live chat.
Oh yeah. That seems to be quite a popular way of doing things now. It's
because it's more responsive.
And
you get instant responses. Of course, some of the issues can't be resolved instantly, but at least you have a feedback right there. Okay, thanks for pointing this out. We'll look over it. We'll get back to you. You have.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. I mean, I've looked in your Facebook group, and there's a lot of commitment already being shown. Lots of comments from you guys, and an awful lot of interest. I think it seems to me like you've hit a really interesting time. People have got used to page builders. You've come along. You've changed it in some way. I hope that that you get a lot of traction, that you manage to make a real goer of this. Where, just before we finish off, I always let everybody have a minute or two if they want to say where they can be found, their Twitter handle, their whatever you want to say. Go for it.
Sure. Yeah, sure. I'll have my minute of fame.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, you can find us. The easiest way, basically, if you want to test Brizy, is to log into your WordPress and go to plugins and just search for Brizy there, because the plugin is also on the WordPress repository. So you can download it directly into your WordPress admin. You can come to our website, breezy.io with an Y, breezy.io.
Mm-hmm.
You can find us on Facebook, and in fact, we encourage you to come to Facebook, because we have a really nice community there, and you can find us on Facebook / oh my god, I don't know the
No, I don't actually, but I bet that if you search Brizy,
you can search for Brizy community or something like this.
Yeah. That's great. I should say Brizy, just one more reiteration, just so that you don't get it wrong, is BRIZY.io.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No.
If you want a response from me personally, and I want and set it as a goal to respond every mention, you just go to any group you're in and mention me, and I'll respond. So
great. Yeah, well, that's great. I'm really, really, really bullish about the future of all of this. Thank you, Dimi, for coming on today and giving us a nice overview of why you've built it and what it features. Like I say, go to Google or their webpage and go and have a look. Look at some videos, and you'll understand in a couple of minutes what we've been trying to explain. Thanks for coming on, and good luck with Brizy.
Thanks a bunch. Thanks.
And today's ending fact comes again from cubicleninjas.com. We were looking at their... I do this every time, Nathan, we cover this. I forget what the article's called. Mind-blowing web design facts, it's called.
Which don't blow your mind.
Exactly. We're looking at number 5 with this caught our eye, which is 7 out of 10 consumers find a company via the blog. Now, we think this is made up, don't we?
Well, do you ever find a company via its blog?
No.
No, I really don't either. I mean, I don't know where the statistics coming from. On the Cubicle Ninjas website, they're linking over to... Now, what is it they're linking over to? Let's just have a quick look.
Impact BND, which we've covered before.
Yeah,
yes.
That's right. So who knows what the research is that went into this? But it to me... there's a topic that we should have as a discussion here, isn't there, about whether or not it's worthy for the clients to be blogging. It feels like an SEO trick, really. Mostly people put blog posts up for that reason and that reason alone, I think. They don't really have an audience. So maybe there's something in it. You put SEO pieces up, and so Google finds it, and so when you're searching for something in your area, you find it and go to the blog. I very much doubt, though, that people stick on the blog. If they're looking for a particular, I don't know, a plumber or whatever it might be, you'll go to the blog and then quickly click on the links at the top and find the homepage or the Contact Us page.
Yeah, exactly. I think maybe one thing I did notice about the Impact BND, where they got this from, is that it's from one of their infographics, and most of their sources are going back 4 or 5 years. So maybe in today's age, it's maybe partly true through other media. Sort of that 7 out of 10 may find it through things like Facebook or YouTube or something else that might bring them to a company.
I would have thought that Facebook would now be the default for this kind of thing. Facebook and Twitter. Do people still blog even? Is that still a real thing? I mean, I know I do on the podcast. It's a blog essentially. But typically, do businesses still even do that? We should talk about that as a separate discussion.
Should do, because they don't, and they all want it. And I used to persuade them to go and have their blog, but they don't do it. So we'll have that chat.
Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. Apparently, 7 out of 10 consumers find a company via the blog. That's the important, crucial bit of information that you've learnt today. Right, we'll end the podcast there, if that's the case. Thank you for sticking with us all the way to the end of the WP Builds podcast. Please go to wpbuilds.com/deals, where we've got a whole load of deals on there at the minute, 20% off, 80% off various tools for WordPress. Also, if you go to wpbuilds.com/subscribe, you can subscribe to every known platform in the entire universe on my terribly designed page. There we go. Thanks for listening, and I'm going to say goodbye from me, Nathan Wrigley.
And it's goodbye for me, David Walmsley.
We always mention that there is cheesy music. I think we should stop mentioning it and just allow it to happen. So maybe this will be the last mention of cheesy music. I don't know. Maybe I like doing it. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.